Alright, so we're reviewing question one on the assignment. Alright, it says the following balances were extracted from the records of SOB 1032 at 30th June 2021. The net total of the list of the purchases ledger is 3,215,368. And on the payables control account, we have a credit balance of 3,356,625 and a debit balance of 127,500. All right, so we've been given additional information, right? So here basically we want our balance on our net list of on our purchases ledger, right? On the balance on our purchases ledger to be equal to the balance in the control account, all right? These two balances must be the same, right? So we've been given additional information. So this means we're going to have to make adjustments either to our purchases ledger or to our controller account or to both, all right? So we're going to see each transaction and we'll see which one is affecting. The first transaction, goods amounting to 9,375 were returned to a supplier, but not recorded as the credit note has not yet been received. All right. So here we have a situation of return outwards. We're returning goods to our supplier. Okay. So every time you return goods to your supplier, all right, the amount that you're owing him is going to have to reduce, all right? Because since you return goods, so the amount that you're owing him must reduce. And control accounts, all right, and the accounts which are found on the purchases ledger, they're all liability accounts, right? They increase with credit and they decrease with debit, all right? Right, so we've been told we have a return outwards. It hasn't been recorded. So we'll go to our control account. All right. We're going to debit the omittance of purchases return 9,375. Okay, this is our control account. All right, here. So we debit the omittance of purchase returns. All right, so that we can have the true value of our total amount, which is in the purchases control account. So we'll debit this return outwards, right? Then in our list of purchases ledgers, ledger, same 9,375, we're still going to debit it because this this transaction wasn't recorded, right? This return outwards wasn't recorded. So we're going to have to include it both in the purchases and the control account, all right? Both on the debit side. Okay. The daily totals were undercasted as detailed below, right? So whenever we're dealing with totals, this is going to mostly affect the control account, right? We're not going to deal with the purchases ledger, all right? Remember, in the purchases ledger, that's where you find the individual accounts of the people you are owing money. All right. Now, we've been told 16th June 2021, the purchase day book was undercasted by 7,567. Right. The purchase day book, all right. This is where we record our credit purchases, all right. Record our credit purchases and we total them up. Now, the total which was on the purchase day book, all right, it was undercasted, meaning it was short by 7,567. So we have to correct this error. So we are going to credit our control account, right? Understated purchases 7,567. All right, 7,567. Okay. Then 16, 23rd June 2021, the purchase return day book was undercasted by 1,945. All right. So the purchase return day book, this is where we record our return outwards. Remember, return outwards, this is where we're returning goods to our supplier. All right. So it was undercasted by 1,945. All right. So to correct this error, we're going to have to debit the control account 1,945. All right. Because our purchase returns were undercasted. And on our control account, whenever there's a return outwards, we debit. So since it was undercasted, we'll have to debit this 1,945 so that we have the true amount. Okay. Right. Okay. The third one. A purchase invoice of 44,500 was recorded as 49,000 in the purchase day book, but correctly recorded in the purchase ledger. All right. So this, as we been told, is been correctly recorded in the purchase ledger. All right. So, all right. On our control account, it's been overstated. All right. It's been put as 49,000, but it's supposed to be 44,500. All right. So let's see how much it's been overstated by. All right. So you say 49,000, 9,500 minus 44,500. Oh, not 49,500, 49,000 flat. 49,000 minus 44,500, we're going to get 4,500. All right. Get 4,500. So what we must remember is whenever we make a purchase, all right, we credit the control account. All right. So now, since it was overstated, we have to correct that overstatement. So the way to correct the overstatement is we'll debit the purchases control account, right? We debit the purchases control account 4,500, right? So that we can correct that overstated purchase, and overstated purchase, all right? We go to our next transaction. While preparing a list of balances from the purchases ledger, a debit balance of 4,755 was taken as a credit balance of 2,955. So here, okay, let's just take a practical example here. Just do it like this. All right. So basically, what it's saying here that in our purchases ledger, let's think of this as the purchases ledger, right? The 2,955 was wrongly put on the credit side, right? On what was supposed to be put was 4,755. This is what's supposed to be appearing on our debit side of our purchases ledger. So what we have to do here is we have to eliminate this 2,955, and our debit side, we should have a 4,755. So the way to do that, all right, we're going to say 4,755 plus 4,955, we get 7,710, right? 7,710. All right. So if we debit, all right, our purchase ledger with 7,710. All right, let's find the difference. Okay, 7,710 minus 2,955. We get 4,755. All right, so we've corrected the error. We'll have a 4,755 on our debit side, and this 2,955, which wasn't supposed to be there, has been cleared off. All right, so as you can see here, we've debited the reversal error, debit 7,710. All right, 7,710. Okay, so this one is just going to only affect the purchases ledger, okay, because it was an individual transaction dealing with one account. So it's going to just affect the purchases ledger. All right, a purchase return note of 16,050 was recorded in the purchase return day book as 1,560, but correctly recorded in the purchases ledger. Right, so in the purchases ledger, it's been correctly recorded. We don't need to deal with that, but we have to deal with the control accounts. All right, we returned goods. All right, it was a return inwards, so this is a debit entry. Okay, so now the goods were recorded as 1,560. They were supposed to be recorded as 16,050. So let's see how much they understated by. So 16,050, right, minus 1,560, right? 16,050 minus 1,560, we get 14,490. All right, so our purchase returns were understated by 14,490. And as we did earlier on with this 7,567, I mean this 1,945 for a return outwards that's undercasted, we'll debit this 14,490. All right, we debit 14,490. Understated purchase returns. All right, understated purchase returns. Right, 14,490. All right, go to the sixth transaction. And an old outstanding debit balance of 8,350 is appearing in the purchase ledger. As the supplier is not traceable, it has been decided to write off the balance, right? So on our purchases ledger, all right, let's think of it like this. Okay, let me just use this one here again for illustration. All right, so on our purchases ledger, we have an old outstanding debit balance of 8,350. Okay, so we want to write it off. So the only way we can write it off is we credit the same amount, 8,350. So now it has been written off. All right. So we're going to credit, right, our purchase ledger, 8,350. All right, 8,350. And this is also going to affect our control account because we're now removing a balance. All right, so even our control account will be affected. So you debit also the control account, 8,350. Okay, the debit balance written off. All right, we've got the next one. A receivable from Patel Enterprises amounting to 4,335 was mistakenly set off against a payable of 7,500. All right. So This receivable was mistakenly set off. All right, so let's find out the set off which was given to the receivable. Set off. All right, so we're going to say 7,500 minus 4,335. Right, so say 75 minus 4,335. We get 3,165. All right. So usually whenever there's a set off, all right, we debit the purchases control account. All right. But in this case, we have an error. Okay. So to get rid of the error, of the set of error, we're going to credit our control account, all right? Because initially the set off was sitting here, okay? The set off was seated here, okay, 3165, right? But since it was an error, all right, we have to get it out of the debit side, all right? Get rid of it and credit it, all right? So the set of error, we're going to credit our purchases control account, right? And this set of error is also going to affect the purchase ledger, all right? So you credit the purchases ledger, 3,165, okay? Because the set off was done wrongly. So it will affect both the control account and the purchase ledger, right? And finally, in the purchase ledger, a debit side of a supply account was overcasted by 8,100, right? So we have an overcast, right, on the debit side, 8,100. To get rid of this, we're just going to have to credit, right? So that we get rid of this error, all right? To get rid of this error, so we'll credit our purchase ledger 8,100, all right, because it's just only affecting the purchases ledger, all right? That's only affecting the purchases ledger. Okay, so we credit it. This is here. This is what we have here, 8,100. All right, so we find the balance in our accounts. Okay, so as you can see, if we total up, okay, let me just write it here, sum. We total up our credit side, all right. This 3,356,625 was given to us earlier on, right, in the question, right? So we sum them up, okay. We're going to get 3,375,707. All right, this figure here, 3,375,707. When you total up these figures, this is the figure we're getting here, which is like this one here. All right. Then on our debit side, okay, on our debit side, we total up also. All right. All right, we get 157,810. 157,810. All right, so get our balance carried down. We're going to subtract 3 million. All right, 3,375,707 minus 157,810. Right, and this is our balance carried down, 3,217,897. All right, so that's our balance, all right, on our control account. Balance there. Okay, and then we go to now our purchase ledger. All right, the balance brought down. Okay, it's 3,215,500 3,215,368. All right, that's our balance on the purchases ledger. All right, so let's just Let's just work. Let me just write all of these. Delete, delete. All right. So whatever we debit, we subtract. All right. So it's a 3,215,368 minus 9,375. We get this figure. Okay. Again, as I said, debit, we subtract. All right. Debits we're subtracting. Okay. Then credits we're going to be adding. Okay, this is a running balance here. Okay, credits we're going to be adding. Okay, all right. Finally, all right, we get 3,217,898. So we'll have a difference of only one quarter. All right, this is 3,217,898. All right, so the difference is not that significant. All right, at least the balances are collaborating, only a difference of one quarter. So that brings us to the end of the question.